Good morning, friends. I hope you're having a wonderful day out there in your gardens. It's currently Memorial Day weekend, and a lot has changed in the garden in just a week's time. The gladiator alliums that were purple last week have turned green. Pinball Wizard alliums and ambassador alliums are joining the floral party, as well as some beautiful pink roses and peonies are on display this week. So let's take a look around together. All of my 9-barks bloomed about a week ago. It was quite hot for about 2 days, and then those 2 days of extreme heat were followed by extreme cold and about 4 days of rain. In fact, if I look at the weather report, it says that Memorial Day weekend is supposed to be a washout, so we'll see what happens with that. Last year, I planted 2 of these beautiful Rise Up Lilac Days roses on the base of our addition wall, and I can't wait until these grow to their mature height, ramble all the way up the hummingbird trellis, and just cover the back of our addition with fragrant roses. Right here, we have 3 ambassador alliums in bloom. So you can see the gladiator alliums here have now gone over. Ambassador blooms a little bit later. Ambassador has a lot more foliage than gladiator, and it takes that foliage longer to die back. So I really like to sneak those ones into the middle or back of the border because their foliage is quite unsightly. Last week, the white foxgloves were blooming, and this week, those amazing pink and mauve foxy foxgloves joined the party. I think what I'm going to do today, since it's going to rain all day tomorrow as well, I'm going to walk around the garden with you, and then I'm going to cut a few vases of foxglove, roses, and peonies and show you what that looks like as well. So let's travel down both sides of the border today, one side at a time, so we can really see everything. These white alliums in the background are called Mount Everest. I like that their foliage lies close to the ground. It lies flat, so you don't see it, and it dies back very quickly. So that's a nice one to have if you really don't like the look of dying allium foliage. We still have our totally tangerine geums in bloom. And underneath my serviceberry tree, I have some Maddie Marble hellebores. In about 2 weeks, the feverfew will start to bloom. And I love the evergreen foliage of this gold splash euonymus right next to a summer wine 9-bark. And you can see the berries are forming on the serviceberry tree. Earlier this morning, there was a squirrel perched within the tree, chowing down on some kind of nut or fruit that he had found in the garden. Last week I did an unboxing, and I unboxed these roses that weren't in bloom yet. This is the reminiscent pink rose. And let's get close on these blooms. Aren't they gorgeous? Right next to that, I have some Roseanne geraniums. And I just tucked in a little bit of lettuce for fun. And I think by next week, we should have the Sweet William that I'm growing from seed blooming as well. This is a pink Sweet William that I've never grown before. Some of our white peonies are coming into bloom in the background. And here's a closer look at the always beautiful ambassador allium. So if you see a tall allium that's purple, it's going to be ambassador. If you see a shorter one that's purple, that one is Pinball Wizard. Here's some foxy foxglove that we planted last spring together. I can't wait until our lilies bloom in about 3 weeks' time. More reminiscent pink rose. Beautiful. A few Siberian irises are blooming in the back of this garden. I got those from my grandma's garden. And the cotton candy thalictrum is going over this week. So see, I might cut that back down to the ground if it gives me problems with powdery mildew again this year. Let me back up a little bit so I can show you our lady's mantle. I just love the foliage and the blooms on lady's mantle. Bowl of Beauty should be opening next week. I'm providing 10 peony bouquets for our rehearsal dinner this coming Saturday. So most of the peonies that are normally in my garden, that you normally see in the garden, are currently in a cooler waiting for this Saturday. I think this lupin is called Mini Gallery Blue, and it's a shorter lupin. Right next to that, with a similar bloom and beautiful gray-green foliage, is Baptisia. And this pink peony here is Dr. Alexander Fleming. Things are still looking like a sea of green in the raised bed garden, but I do want to stop over there and show you how the interplanting of the daffodils and lilies is going. Here I have a handful of Pinball Wizard Alliums, and I'm trying to do my best to disguise the dying foliage of these Alliums with Amsonia. Here's something very exciting. It's going to be hard for me to walk back to this peony right here, so I'll just overlay some footage for you. But I've been waiting for this Ito peony that cost me about $50 for 5 years. After 5 years, it finally has put out one bloom. What do you think? Is it worth the wait and the money? Next week, I'll probably go ahead and cut back all my daffodil foliage. You can see that it's still green, but by the end of May, it's completely fine to go ahead and cut it back. I recently read, I think last year, I read a study by Cornell talking about that. So I'll pop that down in the description section below. So let's take a look at the raised beds. I'm trying something new this year. This is called Marble Arch Salvia. I grew up from seed. I think I got this seed from, I got it from Roars, but it's Renee's garden seed. And it's supposed to be a wonderful cut flower that's not actually a flower, it's a bract. So we'll see how that works out. Back behind that, I have straw flower. I put some Orlea right next to the base of the garden library. It's not doing great. We'll see if that takes off or not. So let's take a look at this bed. This is where I have lilies and Bella Estrella daffodils planted together, and this worked out very well. I liked that the Bella Estrella foliage is more narrow and it puts out less foliage than this bed right here, which is Del Nasha. You can see the leaves of Del Nasha are much wider and it puts out a lot more leaves. So if I could choose which daffodil to plant with lilies, I think I would focus in on one that has not a lot of foliage and narrow foliage. Something like Bella Estrella or Pueblo also has a limited amount of foliage and narrow foliage. This is still working out okay. And so what's going to happen here is once we harvest these lilies and sell them, I'll cut the entire bed back down to the ground, and then I have all my dahlias started inside under lights. So we will immediately put the dahlias in once we sell those lilies. Here we have Cerinthe Major. This might be blooming next week, we'll see. Don't you just love that foliage? Those spots are normal. That's the way the plant is supposed to look. And you can see basically every bed back here is interplanted with some kind of bulb. Once again, there was daffodils in this bed. I'm starting to see some blooms on our snapdragons. And back here, uh-oh, what's going on here? Okay. I don't know what's going on right there. But these are gladiolas. I have to do some research on what's going on with those leaves. So we've got lilies, 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 and these should come on in succession if I planned and planted correctly. This bed should come on first, then this one, and then finish with that one, so that hopefully we never run out of cut lilies for the stand, because they always just sell through so easily. And you know what? They're so easy to grow. Pop the bulb in the ground, walk away. And then in a few months' time, you have lilies to sell. This bed is looking a little bit rough, so sorry about that. But we've got Magus, some dahlias, Lysianthus, not looking great. I'm not even gonna get close on that this year. Hey, sometimes things happen. Just gotta roll with it. So you can see all of our gladiator alliums back here have turned green. I have cut all the ones from the side because I put in more of that marble arch salvia. And I think what I'm gonna do is come into this area and put my saving grace dahlias in between each rows, because they're still quite small and I think we have room for them. So let's give that a try this year. Let's take a look at these Foxy Foxglove. I love the color on them. You can see the Coosa dogwood has started to bloom. It's really busy for a Sunday. I guess that's just the holiday weekend. So here we have Foxy Foxglove. We planted this together. Isn't it beautiful? I just love the color. Sensational honeysuckle is blooming now. And if you love hummingbirds, this is the vine you want to plant. Most mornings I like to come out here and sit with Grace either in the garden library or in the lounge chairs behind me. And almost every morning, do you see this little tip right here where there's no bloom? A hummingbird will come and just sit right there on the tip of that branch. And it's like I'm having my morning coffee while she's having her morning nectar. It's absolutely wonderful. I love the color. The fragrance is phenomenal. I'm so thankful to see that all of the hydrangeas are coming back. I was very concerned about the hydrangea borer. I'll just keep my eye on things. I'm not planning to do anything this year. The only one that really suffered and didn't come back well is this mini Mauvette right here. Now I'll overlay some footage for you of some peonies that were in bloom in this garden. We had a pink one called Sorbet blooming earlier on this week, and also Carl Rosenfield. But I cut most of those and either sold them or gave them to my daughter because she loves peonies also. I mean, look at that. Isn't that so beautiful? You know, I'm not a yellow girl, but this light yellow, it really does pair nicely with the purples, doesn't it? It's fun to imagine what this view is going to look like in 2 more years. You know, The white siding on the addition really sticks out right now, doesn't it? But you know what? I'm not going to worry about that too much because in 2 years' time, that Rise Up Lilac Days rose is going to completely cover that old siding. With all the rain, the geraniums really were not looking great. So you can see I cut them back, but we'll have another flush of blooms by next week. The allium that we have blooming here in the driveway garden is Pinball Wizard. And we have a little bit of Orlea grandiflora blooming in this garden, and a little bit of Foxy Foxglove. Now, I don't recall planting this here. I think it just self-seeded from another year. The knockout roses are also starting to bloom. I think if I could go back in time and plant a light pink rose here, I probably would do that. For this year, I'm happy to live with these hot pink roses. I cut a few allium, peony, rose, and foxglove stems and placed them in my antique teal ball mason jars. I just love collecting these jars. Do you guys collect any of them? I'm really trying to collect one from each era. I think I only have 3 eras at this point. So we have Ambassador Allium, Pinball Wizard, Dr. Alexander Fleming Peony, Rise Up Lilac Days, and then our Foxy Foxglove, which we started from seed I guess it was last early winter that I started those seeds. And then just a few white foxglove down below. Well, friends, I think that brings me to the end of this week's Garden Walk and Talk. I want to wish you a wonderful day out there in your gardens, and I'll see you sometime real soon. Bye!